Well, Darren, an unusual one really coming into this in that you've had such a long break. How have you gone about preparing for the weekend's game?
Yeah, it's very unusual. 3.5 weeks it'll be on Saturday without a game. 25 days. So something obviously we didn't expect, but I suppose at the moment, the world we're living in, we have to be ready for anything that can happen. So obviously the first part of it was the 10-day isolation. Players had to isolate for 10 days, which means they'll lose a bit there. And then the first week back was really getting up their fitness levels back up again. And this week's been a normal week in the sense that 4 training sessions. Tomorrow will be the last one, all based really around the game on Saturday.
Is it hard to know going into the weekend, comparing yourselves with Lincoln and where they've been at playing the games? Is it just hard to know how much of an impact that will have?
Yeah, I think you would like to think there's a bit of freshness in there. It's been a good opportunity to get some work into them, what we feel where we need to improve. But yeah, it's hard to tell. You probably won't be able to know until the game starts and the game takes place. But yeah, to have not have a game for 25 days, we'll find out. And Lincoln are one of the probably handful of teams that have been playing regularly. They've not had any stoppages like most of the league. But listen, we go there to win the game as normal. We know what it means. It's a big game in the sense of where both teams are at the moment. And against a team that obviously is top of the league and going very, very well.
Do you draw a line under what was happening directly before your break? Is there too much point in thinking too much about MK and Rochdale and those performances? Is it a case of now just starting afresh in effect?
Yeah, I think we want to try and get, you can almost you can press the reset button, really. That's what we've tried to do. And really identify where we need to improve and really have a focus on how we want to play. Not overly think about the opposition, more about what we need to do. Certainly the Rochdale game was a very good example of how we want to play. High intensity, high pressing. Their manager said after the game they couldn't live with our intensity, and that's how my teams normally play, and that's how I want them to play. 1 or 2 players have got to get up to that level. And then, of course, the Milton Keynes game, watching it back, I didn't enjoy it at all. I didn't enjoy it live as a spectacle. We didn't get any foothold in the game. We went there and that's not how we wanted to play that game. And in the end, we ended up defending most of the game. So I've never really set my teams up like that. And we've concentrated a lot on when we've got the ball. Because if you play a certain system, particularly I think 3 at the back, if you don't keep the ball well enough, it becomes a 5 and it defeats the object really. So those are the sort of details that we've got into with the players.
I suppose the other interesting element as well, not only the fact that you've had a break, Lincoln have been playing, but you're jumping straight back in at the deep end in the context of the season with Lincoln being at the top of the table, you're only just behind them, but with the games in hand, it's really important in that sense.
Yeah, but there's nothing we can do about it. We've got to get on with it. And it's on the television. We can go there and say and make excuses that we've not done this and not played games, but we can't have any excuses. We have to go there and put on a performance that we know we're capable of doing. And now we've got a 4 months. It's almost like the season's started again, if you know what I mean. And it's 4 months of relentless games, training sessions, and the mentality has got to be we've got to put everything into this 4 months to try and be successful.
Is it nice to have the testing situation sorted out with the twice a week testing in that hopefully that should give you the best chance for every club really of getting the games played?
Yeah, I think it's good that we've now got the testing twice a week. It should have been there, in my opinion, from day one. I don't see how you can determine human beings by what league they're in. So that's my own opinion. But yeah, it's a bonus and an advantage that we're now getting tested twice a week, all the Football League clubs. And we'll have to see what comes of that. But our last testing was on Monday. All the players were negative. And obviously we'll now test them next Monday.
Yeah, it must just be a weight off your mind in that when you haven't had the regular testing, of course, you can never be sure what's about to suddenly change. At least it gives you a bit more structure.
Yeah, there was a slight concern going into the testing on Monday because obviously the players had all gone their own separate ways. and we had to trust them to have the discipline to not break the rules in whatever tier they were in. And it looks like, fortunately, they've been very sensible. And I think it's very important that these players, or all players for that matter, behave themselves when they're away from the training building and the ground, to make sure that they follow the rules and regulations to try and help the virus. And all my players coming back negative would suggest that's the case. So I was pleased with that.
Overall, what do you make of Lincoln as a side?
Very good attacking team. Very good attacking team. Very good in transition. Counter-attacking is very strong. Big part of their game. The recruitment's been good. The full energy. Yeah, Michael's got a good team there, as you would expect after this amount of games, them to be top. But we treat it like every other game, and we go into it looking to impose ourselves on the game and hoping plenty works.
And another one of these matches, and we've had plenty of them now, where the feel around it will be very different from normal, in that Sincil Bank, normally a great buzz, great atmosphere, particularly when the Posh are going there.
Yeah, it was my first game as a manager, actually, at Lincoln. And it's always a good atmosphere there. Whenever I've gone to watch games there or been a manager there, the atmosphere is always terrific. But we're going to obviously lose that. And it's obviously geographically one of the more local ones for our fans. But we're used to this now. The season's going to be like this, certainly I would imagine the whole season's going to be without the fans. So we have to just crack on with it. I hope it's not. I think the difference in the performance with Rochdale wasn't helped by the fact fans were there. It made such a difference, such an energy for us. But we'd have to admit that everyone should be used to it by now. I prefer to have fans, whether it's away at a really it could be an intimidating place, Lincoln. But we just have to get on with it and play the game as best we can. With
the team news, with Ricky Jade, so he's back in training and ready to go, but a bit soon for Joe Ward?
I think so, yeah. I think we've got to be mindful how many games we've got coming up. To risk him would be the wrong thing to do. We his first training session in terms of the football with the group was today. So it's probably going to come too early for him, but he is looking good. We would hope to get him some part of the game against Portsmouth, and then that'll be him up to speed for the Milton Keynes game.
And with Ricky, you've spoken about it before, but just nice to have that extra dimension, to have a player who can offer something that's different to what you've got.
Well, certainly with Ricky, you'll get a lot of the elements that we're after in terms of pace. Pressing is outstanding. Energy, especially if you're winning games, his ability to counter-attack with that pace. He can play in different positions, play up front in a two, he can play wide left. So I think we've missed the boy, and it's good to have him back. He's definitely grown physically, and he's looking very good.
Is everyone else looking okay?
Everyone else, touch wood, the whole squad's fit apart from Joe Ward.
And with the Siriki situation, as you were saying to Swanee for the paper the other day, I guess the biggest frustration really is the fact that it's out in the open and that people are talking about it, because it's the sort of thing that generally it happens a lot. It's always going on, I suppose, to one degree or another. But the difference here is once it's out in the public, it becomes a little different. Yeah, I mean,
Siriki's made his decision. It didn't come as too much of a surprise to me. And I've always been the same with these situations, and I've had them many occasions. So I'm used to it. I'm experienced enough to cope with it and deal with it. And the one thing I'm very mindful of, if the player shows the correct attitude and respect towards his teammates, then there will never be a problem. As soon as that stops, then it becomes a different situation, which as a manager then I have to make a decision on. So, and I think the boy's he is fully aware of that. So if he wants to get a move, as he said he does, then one, he needs to get in my team, and two, he needs to play well to stay in the team. And after that, who knows what can happen. But up to now, he's been fine. We all know what ability the boy's got, but he needs to start showing it on a consistent basis, because it goes hand in hand then, because if he does, he helps us win games, hopefully, and he possibly puts himself in a shop window. But you don't get a move by not performing. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I suppose that's now one of the difficulties here, in that he's under that little bit more scrutiny once he's out in the open. Of course, people will be looking at his attitude and talking about those things. So he's got to step up to the plate.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't concern me, and never has concerned me, what an individual player's motivation is. You know, it could be money, it could be just a love of the game, it could be the fact that he wants to better himself and go to a higher level. Then it doesn't bother me, as long as they've got some sort of motivation. So the hope is that the motivation for Siriki is he performs and shows the right attitude, especially on Saturday when it's on the television, for people to start taking notice and putting bids in. So, and then obviously the next stage of that is when the bids come in, the owners will make a decision whether to sell them or not. For me, it's quite simple. Show the correct attitude, do good enough to get in the team and stay in the team.
Yeah, and that will be one of the difficulties with this window. I would have thought for any player, clubs aren't necessarily going to have that much money to spend or be in the market for that many players.
No, I don't think. I'll be honest. In our league, I can't see any deals apart from loan deals. I think the situation we're in economically as a country, and football clubs included, is going to make it extremely difficult. In saying that, there is going to be a Premiership club or a Championship club that can pay a certain level that would probably be acceptable to us. Not that I'm going to put a figure on it, because that's not my decision, but there's still the wealth out there for things to happen. But certainly for clubs in terms of recruiting, I don't see much happening.
Overall, are you more or less happy with where you're at the moment? Of course, you can have people interested in your players and things can change, but if you ended up with the same group of players at the end of the window, would you be happy with that?
Yeah, I think we recruited a squad for the season. Things develop and things happen within that. Sometimes signings don't come off, or it just doesn't happen, or there's a loss of form. But with it, if players haven't lost of form, you like to think that the other squad members will step up. I think there's been good examples of Vidi and H coming in the team and doing really well. So yeah, I think in January, if Siriki goes, we'll have to replace him. But we've obviously got that and we're mindful of that. We're ahead of the game on that one. And maybe one out, one in again somewhere else. But no, certainly I'm never a lover of big moves in January. Last January it was needed, and just because of the players we were getting. But this January, I don't think that'll be the case.